Hi, my name is Mirko, and we are here in central Greece. And what do we find here? Yet another wall. This is the so-called Acropolis of Proerna. It's a very little known place as far as I know. By the way, you can find it on Google if you know what to look for. So it's there on Google Maps, but never heard of it before, just found it by chance. And we're gonna visit this wall now. The Acropolis, of course, stands on top of a hill, and you can see the walls are made of quite large square blocks in this instance. Now I'll let Deborah go in front to show you the size of these blocks. See, they're quite big, I guess, over a ton each, at least the largest ones. There's a few turrets. We're gonna walk first the outside of it and then the inside. So it's just to show once again that here in Greece, it's just dozens and dozens of sites like this, of which you probably never heard of, or most of them you have never heard of, and me neither, until I decided to come here and look for them. There's some polygonal corner here. The cuts are quite precise, and considering that the place is there's nobody here, no tickets. It's supposed to be open till 3:30, but there's nobody closing it, so it's just like this. You get here and visit the site by yourself. And that's the way we like it. After the crowds of Meteora we met this morning. Still worth it, but maybe even too much. There's a nice corner here. A few nice corners here. So just to give you a sense of scale, this is certainly 60 centimeters high by 80. This is the same height but longer. It's a bit smaller, but one of these wouldn't be in any way impressing. But when you consider there's maybe 500 meters of wall here, now we will see, I'm not sure exactly how much. The style is always the same. They are convex, or it seemed like the plan was this. Again, as we said before, the corner is very nicely cut and flattened on each stone, and then the protruding part starts again. And as we were saying before, in the view of a defensive wall, this doesn't really make so much sense. This is a huge block. It's certainly more than 1.5 tons. The wall is not very high. It's probably around 3.5 meters here. You can see I'm 2 meters, so something like that. But when you consider the amount of blocks that have been placed here, for a place you've never heard from people, they certainly have a name somewhere, you can find something, but it's not a famous population. It's not a famous, it's Greek people, Hellenistic people. They call it Hellenistic Acropolis of Proerna. So it's supposed to have been from the Greek. And you see turret after turret, wall after wall. We walk. Here there seemed to have been maybe a gate. Maybe, not sure. Here, a very nice one. This is a very nice one. Down there too, and here down too. So the lines from time to time are cut, and they start all over a new position like there. You see this line goes here, and then there's this block, and it goes on like this. So this is a huge block again. This is 1 meter 60, 70 at least. So the feeling again you get is that they didn't build this square because it was easier. They built it like this because it was a choice. In the same way we've seen before in other polygonal places where they apparently, if it was the same population, they were capable of doing one polygonal area and then just nearby another square blocks area, another huge one. These are very tall. This is 25, 50, 75, yeah, 80 to 90 centimeter. And it goes from here till here. Well, actually they're getting bigger here. This one is bigger, even bigger. This is even bigger because it's long and fat. So we came from there, and here the wall goes on. You can see Deborah, just to give you a sense of scale and the size of these blocks and the wall generally. And anyway, what I read about it, the little I could find, is that it's not a rounded wall, so there's no wall around the whole top of the hill. It's just on one side. So that makes it even stranger. But what academics and researchers allege is that they didn't build a wall on the other side because on the other side there was once a swamp. So they may have felt protected enough by the swamp, which was not easily crossed. And so they just made the wall on one side, if this was a protective wall, of course. And that's the general idea. So here we get an idea of the size of these blocks. I'll just make a quick calculation of one of them just to give you a sense of scale. So there's about 50 or 60 blocks here, pretty much the same size. And I just estimated the weight of this one. I measured it. It's 1 meter wide by 60 by 60 centimeters depth and height. And that would make it 1 ton. So each one of these is about 1 ton. So some are more, some are a little bit less. That's about it. So you can get a sense. I mean, 1 ton is the weight of a medium small sized car. And look how many you have here. And then there's a wall, of course, in the background. And there's thousands of these. So it's thousands of tons that have been brought here. Of course, one can say, yeah, well, it's just blocks of 1 ton. But I mean, these people were not supposed to have tractors or whatever modern machines. They had pulleys and wood, if that's the right theory. And the wall seems to probably end there. And there's a gate here, so we're gonna enter now the Acropolis of Proerna. So we're now on top of the wall. It's not very tall here, but just to show you the structure, it's as we've seen in other places, it's 2 rows of big stones on both sides, and then there's rubble or anyway smaller material in between, and then every once in a while there's one that protrudes into this inner part. I would guess it's about 2 meters wide. Then of course when you get to the turrets, it's getting much wider. I may attempt a jump here over this. Yeah, it's not really a jump. Here it's wider, of course, because that's supposed to have been, or what that was, a turret. But anyway, as I was saying before, it's thousands of tons of material which has been brought here, cut very nicely to fit one stone to the other and set in place. So we are here at one of the corners of the first wall we just saw. Here there was a quite big turret. The blocks are even bigger, and you can see here the wall goes on. It goes a little bit downhill there, following the natural shape of the hill, and then we get there to a lower hill where the wall goes on. It's really not much left today, but you have to imagine that once it was a very powerful and impressive wall, I'm guessing. So there's a big fat snake there, which doesn't really make me happy, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's a dangerous one. Actually, I came down here to show you this wall, and I had this snaky encounter, and to show you the size of this block where Deborah's standing. Here we're certainly more than a ton, maybe 1.5 or 2 tons. So we are here at the highest spot at the Acropolis of Proerna. You can see there's a 360 degrees view. It's a great plain here. There seemed to have been a platform here, because some remains of some stones here seem to give the idea of a somehow shaped platform. So on this information board you can see the shape of the wall as it is today, and they also indicate the towers. So there's quite a few gates, at least 3 or 4, but they're not complete, they're not closed, so the walls are not closed. So here we get towards the main entrance, the main gate, which we didn't visit before because we went directly along the wall. There's another turret here. It's the only part where the wall is higher than the part of the hill which has been retained by the wall itself. So this part seems to be in a much better state of preservation, but I guess that's because it was below ground. You see they dug a hole here to get this part out, and still the stones here, you can see them going into the ground, so the original level of the city was probably lower than it is today. And here on this side the wall goes on for another, I don't know, 30 or 40 meters. It's really in bad state of preservation. But yeah, that's the Hellenistic Acropolis of Proerna. Important to say Hellenistic because they call it like that, just to make sure nobody gets the wrong idea of what it was. I am being a little bit mean, but the point is that this place, as many others we've seen and that we probably will see, deserves a lot more attention than it is getting. But at least they put some lights, so at night it may be nicely illuminated. We hope so. Thanks for watching.